Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Be My Guest. I am your host, Eric Guest. In today's New Year's Eve episode, what will we be discussing? It'll be another laid-back episode. It'll be more of a mental health hangout type episode, maybe browsing some different stuff on the internet, kind of just hanging out, finding some like-minded people, maybe talking and discussing some of our goals for the new year. And honestly, when it comes to a day like today, a New Year's Eve, the dawning of the new year, I think it's important to reflect on some of the things that happened in the previous year as well. Some of the positive things we did, some of the great achievements that we may have had, some of the great moments that we may have had, as well as maybe some of the negative downfalls or negative things that went on, so then we can learn from those moments and learn from those opportunities and carry those learning moments and experiences into the new year. So maybe tonight will be some reflection, maybe some goal setting, and ultimately just a nice hangout. And yeah, there's no big plans for it. I was going to talk about this moniker that I have. Hey Poke, I hope you have a good night and sleep as for him. Hope you have a good night. I need sleep as 4 a.m. for me. Well, happy New Year's Eve, and I hope you have a good night, Poke. It was nice to see you. I'll be seeing you again soon. I was going to discuss the moniker. I guess I'm going to going to discuss it a little bit anyways. But this moniker that I really like this idea of Asylum Houdini, which is someone who is Harry Houdini, a nod to Harry Houdini, who was the great escape artist. He was the great magician, escape artist, the performer, the artist. But the concept of asylum, so someone who escapes the insane asylum, the escape artist of the asylum. I like that idea. I like the idea of someone who breaks out of all the common narratives. They break out of all the labels and identities. They cannot be put in a box of any type of mental health disorder or any type of diagnosis. I like the idea of someone who is the escape artist, who escapes all of that, who fights against all the odds and comes out and wins against all odds. So that type of premise, that type of idea, I really like that. So I've kind of adopted the moniker Asylum Houdini as kind of like an alter ego, and the alter ego represents and stands for someone who cannot be put in a box, cannot be labeled, cannot be diagnosed, and refuses all of that and will escape that no matter what the situation is, no matter how many straitjackets you put on, no matter what the box or the cage or the dungeon looks like. I will escape. No matter what you put me in, no matter the physical restraints, the mental restraints, I will escape. I will always find a way out, and I will always find my way to the light and to the surface of whatever the situation is. It's kind of the idea around Asylum Houdini. So I've been working with the idea, and I've really been running with it, and I really like it. And that was going to be the basis of the show today. I was really going to get into that and do the whole thing on that, but I didn't really want to get in the suit. I have to be in the Asylum Houdini suit when I'm going to talk and really describe the ins and outs of Asylum Houdini, so I didn't want to get in the suit, and I thought we're going to do more of a laid-back episode. Some people today on New Year's Eve, they're out celebrating, they're out drinking and partying, and celebrating the new year, celebrating a great past year, and that's great, that's good for them. But there are some of us who are, either they may be working, we may be working, we may be spending time with family and loved ones, or we may be more of the introspective, more introverted types who are spending this time, even a big celebration or big celebratory night like New Year's Eve, on our own. So we are doing the show, and we will be hanging out together in this special night. But in terms of topics, or in terms of interesting things that come to mind in doing the show, so I'll talk about this. So when starting something, or starting a new venture, or a new journey in doing social media, or doing whatever it is that you want to do, it's very tempting to, or it's, you almost need that instant gratification. You're almost yearning for that instant satisfaction of people recognizing you, people agreeing with your ideas, people supporting your views and ideas and opinions. But that is very unlikely to come in the early stages. For many people, that sort of thing doesn't come for a decade, for 8, 9, 10 years, maybe even longer. It takes them 10 years of putting in hard, consistent groundwork, building the foundation, building their message, building their opinions and ideas, and firmly planting those and growing them to an audience, to be a very consumable message. So it takes time. It takes a lot of time when you really want to build something that will stand the test of time. Not just chasing trends and chasing virality. Because I see people, now that I'm getting into this world, I see people that are just trapped. They get viral, they blow up doing one thing, and then they continue feeding that thing. That's the only thing they do now. And yes, there is the idea that you can watch the videos of people saying, this is how you get popular on YouTube or TikTok. This is how you get views. This is how you get likes. It's, when you see something that works, when you see that you do something that it goes viral or gets the attention, continue hitting on that well. Continue digging in that spot, doing that same thing. And I see a lot of content creators do this, but it's like they get trapped. They get trapped in that thing. Maybe they blow up doing some sort of viral dance, or they blow up being goofy or whatever. And then that's all they can do. And then years go on, and that's all they're doing is this like goofy, weird, non-purposeful, non-meaningful thing that they are now trapped in, because that's where the attention and virality was, and they seeked that, and they hunted that over all else. They put that, the worth of the virality and attention and likes and clicks, they put that at the top of the pedestal. They put that at the top of the hierarchy of what's important to them, and they chased that, and they hunted that down, and they stuck to that bucket or that thing that they were doing. And I think it's easy to go down that track. It's easy to get lost in that kind of journey to get the attention and get the praise and the early recognition for what you're doing, because ultimately I think a lot of people want that recognition. They want to see their hard work seen. They want to see their ideas and opinions reciprocated. So to chase that, it does make sense logically. Logically, it makes a lot of sense. But if you're coming into the world of content and social media, or what I'm trying to do, which is more of like a talk show, I have a blueprint and I have a mission of what I want to talk about and what I want to specifically get done over a span of however many years it takes. So for me, if I come in and I chase little trends or little virality tricks and doing little things or little niches to get that attention and seeking validation and likes, money, whatever, deals, if I go out of my way and I alter my blueprint, I alter my principles and standards and morals to get that, then I've just gone completely off course. I have gone completely off course. I have left my morals and principles behind, and I am now I'm off in the woods in doing something else that I never planned on doing. So I think it's important going into social media or going into content that you know what it is that you're trying to do. If you're just trying to get money and attention and virality, that's fine, but know that that's what your purpose is, that you are willing to be the fool, the butt of the joke. You are willing to bend your morals and principles. You are willing to go against a lot of maybe the things that you would have never done before in your life to chase that attention and virality. That's fine if you're okay with that. But if you have a genuine mission, if you have genuine goals and a genuine purpose and agenda of what you want to achieve, going into the content creation, you need to stick to that despite how long it may take to actually get notoriety, to actually get attention, and to actually get other people on board with what you're trying to do. It may take years. It may take years and years and years. But there are so many great examples of people that they just stuck with it. They stuck with their morals. They stuck with their principles, and they did not bend to the system. They did not chase attention. And in the long run, they win. In the long run, those are the types of people that win. Look at people like the artists. Look at Russ. He was making a song a day for 5-6 years, and then he finally blew up, and people go and look at his catalog, and he has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs, but he's been grinding, doing that same thing each and every day. And he stuck to the foundation that he will not sign to a record label. He will not sign away his catalog. He will not sign away his rights and freedoms. He is the owner. He is the boss of everything he does. And what is the one line that in this song it says something like, Papa will be turning in his grave the day I let someone else become a boss of me. When there's a boss of me, I'll be damned. So his morals of never letting anyone else become the boss of him, and him grinding for years and years and years. But at the end of that, he finally succeeds. Or another great example is someone like Kanye West. He's making tons of beats, making beats and beats and beats and beats. What does he say? He says, making 5 beats a day for 3 summers. I deserve to do these numbers. But they're trying to only keep him as a producer, as his come up, as he's coming along. But he's telling everyone, he's showing everyone, no, I'm more than just a producer. I'm more than just a beat maker. I'm also a rapper. I'm all of these things. You cannot just put me in a single box of a producer. And he was willing to grind and fight for himself and fight for his message to become a rapper or a musician or an artist to the fullest extent, instead of just being categorized and put in the little box of just a beat maker or producer. So he's another great figure, or another great story, who stuck to his principles, stuck to his message, and stuck to what he knew he could achieve, what he knew was possible for himself. And this is the kind of mentality I think we need with content creation now. But it's counterintuitive, not counterintuitive, but it's counterproductive, because the chasing the virality, chasing the attention and the clicks, and chasing that instant fame or that instant whatever, that attention, that is going to drag you. That is going to drag you in. That's going to pull you in. That's like a big gold shiny thing, chalice waiting there. That's the gold, and it's going to try to suck you in, to chase the gold, to chase the chalice. But with your purpose, with your true meaning, with your true purpose in life, you will be more fulfilled if you stick to what your morals and principles are. And it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time, but you have to be okay with that. You have to get comfortable with being down, with being doubted, with being down and doubted by those closest to you, by the family and friends, by being looked at as crazy by all your peers, by being the outcast, but still standing in a crowd firmly and saying, you guys are all wrong, I'm right, and I'm going to show you. It's just going to take time. And it's that level of self-belief that will take you to the finish line. It's that level of self-belief that it will allow you to keep your morals and keep your foundation and keep the blueprint of what you want to achieve. So when I look at going into content now, it's one thing to just like I said, create the content and be okay with chasing virality and be okay with chasing trends, whatever. But what I want to do with content and going into content is I have a purpose. My purpose is to find people, like minded individuals, people that have gone through the mental health system, people that have gone through psychiatry, people that have been medicated and suppressed and diagnosed and put in a box and categorized as someone who's less capable, looked at as an outcast, been put in psychiatric facilities, been chemically castrated, people who have been abused and mistreated, and people that deserve better towards their mental health situation and deserve a purpose and a meaning in life that they can carry with them. These are the types of people I'm looking for. These are the types of narratives that I'm going to change in my pursuit of content and in my content creation. I'm going to help people with their mentality. I'm going to help people and I'm going to coach them through how to change their mentality towards their diagnosis, to change their mentality towards their mental health situations, towards potential traumatic situations that they went through in life, potentially coming out of rock bottom, coming out of the psych ward, coming out of being diagnosed, going on new medications, off of new medications. This is what I'm going to help people with. I'm going to walk them through a lot of these things and show them how I was able to be successful coming out of what may look to a lot of people as a very negative situation. And it's only negative if you look at it that way. And that's the biggest key to the mindset shift, is that it's all about the perspective in which you choose to look at the situations with. If you can look at the situations with a positive light, if you can look at whatever your rock bottom is, whatever the coming out of a psych ward, coming out of the new diagnosis, coming out of potentially trying to commit suicide, or years of depression and anxiety or schizophrenia, psychotic episodes, coming out of that, but changing the mentality and shifting it into positive situations, shifting the little things in your mind and uplifting yourself, uplifting your mentality, and severing some of the restraints, severing some of the difficulties, and escaping, like the Asylum Houdini, escaping some of the boxes we are put in. That's my content mission. That's my content purpose. And I think this is what creators need nowadays. They need a mission, they need a purpose, and they need true meaning. They need true love for what they speak about. They need true love for what they're doing. Not just going on live and being live for the sake of being live, or being live for the sake of clip farming some bullshit, or being live for the sake of clip farming some chaos or getting in fights in the streets just so you can get some dumb attention or some dumb virality on the internet. I think people need to figure out what they love in life, figure out what their purpose and their meanings are in life, take that, and then go into content with that in mind. Go into a content mission or a creation-like mindset, an artistic mindset, with their purpose and meanings and love in mind for what they're going to create. Because then you can create that forever. You can take that type of thinking and that type of love and desire for something and passion and enthusiasm for something, and that can carry you forward for years. That's the type of passion and love and authenticity that can carry you for decades, doing something with no attention, with no virality, with no fake likes, no bots for attention, no chasing trends, and continue on your mission and continue on your purpose to then finally, when you are even perfected the message, perfected the mission, the structure, the foundation, that's when people will see the hard work. They'll see everything you're doing and all the hard work that's going into what you're doing. They'll see that, and then they'll come along for the adventure as well. But it's about the love of the game. It's about loving the journey and the adventure the whole way. And you need to be in it for the long run. You need to be in it for the long run. And Honestly, I like planting trees, okay? I grow bonsai. There's a quote that says plant seeds for plant seeds for the trees that you'll never get to stand in the shade of. And when I think about growing trees and growing bonsai, it's it's not instant gratification. You don't get to plant the seeds and the next day you see a beautiful green little sprout poking its head through the dirt. No, that's not how it works. You need to nurture and care and water and give it proper sunlight, give it proper red light, give it proper humidification. Humidification, that's not a word. But you need to give it the proper temperature climate. So all of these things go into the care and nurturing of those little seedlings to then finally grow into something beautiful and strong and grow into a big oak tree potentially. But that's how you view content. That's how you view growing a real movement, a real purpose. That's the idea. It's that it's not going to be instant gratification. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take nurturing and paying close detail and attention to what those seeds need, where they're going wrong, replanting them, moving them to better climate, getting them more sun. And look at that as a comparison or a metaphor for your content. Look at it in the same way. Nurture it, care for it. Where does it need watering? Where is it not getting enough attention? Where are there holes and gaps in your content or your message and your mission? And you need to look at it that way and reflect upon it in this similar way as you would growing a tree or a plant or a bonsai. And that's a weird comparison, I understand, but I think it's a good one. I think it's a good one. I like that comparison because I grow trees. I like growing trees, and I will wait for years. I will wait for years and years and years to see them fully grow and blossom into something beautiful. And that's the exact same type of mindset that I will carry with this content and my mission and my blueprint towards mental health and psychiatry. So with that type of thinking, with that type of mindset, I cannot fail. I cannot fail and I will not fail. And I think people need to adopt that mindset instead of this emptiness of starting the content and starting chasing virality and chasing the whatever the stupid trends are. And the trends are just getting weirder and weirder. The virality and the chaos that you have to create is just getting more intense and more intense. This accelerationist kind of mentality that we're kind of going through in this social media era. You need to go back to what you like. You need to go back to what you love. And actually, as I was talking about this brought up an idea for me, and it was I did this a little while ago. Let's see, and I think I wrote about what I love. It was simple things, but it gave me a starting blueprint to, and it may sound dumb, like, what do you love? What do you love in this world? And if someone were to ask you that question, what do you love in this world? How many things do you think you could get through before your mind starts pausing or questioning? So I think me writing this down gave me an opportunity to really see a ton of things that I love in this world. Things that I love doing, things that I love spending time doing, the family members, the friends, the hobbies. What things do I love talking about? Whatever, the list goes on. But in so doing that, I was able to then really see what my passions are, what I'm enthusiastic towards, and what I love. And I took that and created or looked at potential career paths or things I could do to then honestly never get bored and never run out of or never have a purpose or a meaning or love for what I'm doing because I got to choose what I'm doing. I got to choose what I'm talking about. So let me find this because I saw this the other day. So it's got to be in here somewhere. It's got to be in here somewhere. And I think this is important to do with goal setting. Like this, for example, this page is long range goals. So goals within 1 year, goals within 3 years, goals within 10 years. And they are like financial goals, family, friends goals, health goals, relationship goals, interest goals, whatever. So I think goal setting, like I said, going into a new year, that will be important. And then I know I have it in here somewhere. Like, these are some of the things. This one says, how do you get your ideal life? So there's a page about that. This one says, who am I? Let me read it first. I'll read it first, then I'll see if I'll share it. Let me briefly read this first so I can see if I'll share who I am. So I wrote this on December 24th, 2024. So about a year ago now. Okay, I'll read this. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like, it's weird. I can't believe I would ignore the title of defining who I am. And I'll only read this because I think I've changed a lot since writing this. But it says, I'm a human named Eric Guest, and I often feel I don't belong where I currently am. I constantly refrain from freely speaking my mind because I am surrounded by people who view things so drastically differently than I do. This is hindering my overall well-being, but that doesn't define who I am. I am strong in the sense of my mind. I am an unyielding soldier on the battlefield of life. I observe, absorb, and comprehend emotions and feelings in a very arcane ways, not just for myself, but for others as well. I sense the underlying subtleties in conversations, the unspoken tension in rooms. I respect truth and loyalty above all else. My biggest downfall is the constant rumination in my mind, always preparing for future conversations or replaying memories from the past. The paralyzation that comes with the inability to open up and express my thoughts, feelings, and emotions to my family and friends is a challenge I face. Although I have things to work through, I possess the abilities to achieve any goal or dream I have, and the resolve to conquer any mountain in my way. So that's kind of funny. So that was from like a year ago. But if you look at some of the things that were kind of bothering me or I was struggling at at the time was feeling that no one is really understanding what kind of my ideas are or kind of the things I want in life. And I think this had to do a lot with my workplace, kind of feeling stuck at work and not being able to express a lot of my ideas, express some of the ideas and emotions and some of maybe like the difficulties or hardships that I felt were going on in my life, not being able to fully get that message across to those closest to me. So a feeling of isolation amongst, even though having peers around, feeling isolated in my message and how I'm viewing the world, as well as constant rumination in my mind. And it says always preparing for future conversations or replaying memories of the past. And I think this kind of goes towards people say, oh, if you're constantly thinking about the future, that you're filled with anxiety. If you're constantly thinking about the past, you're depressed. You need to be in the eternal now. But I genuinely think this is kind of the rumination in preparation for future conversations was a way for me to prepare myself against people that may have this information on me, that I have these mental health situations, or that I have gone to a psych ward or dealt with different mental health situations. To me, that was like my Achilles heel, that someone could attack me at that. And in any conversation, I was left vulnerable to that situation or that knowledge that they may have. So I was always prepping for the future. I was always prepping for future conversations and how that could play out and how to defend against some of that stuff. And I think with a little bit of time and age, I've come to the conclusion that instead of viewing that as the Achilles heel, viewing that as the weakness, I will turn that into the offense. I will be the one to divulge that information. I will be the one to share that to the world openly and honestly, in all of its glory and all of its downfall and all of its whatever, how pretty it is, how ugly it is. I will be the one to disclose that information about the mental health system, about my own personal mental health situations and stories, instead of fearing other people having that knowledge or that capability to have that information over me. I'll be the one to tell those stories, to tell that information, and ultimately I'll be the one that gets to depict the narrative. I'll be the one that gets to shape what the narratives are about my own mental health, about what goes on in psychiatry, what goes on in mental health, because now I am the one wielding the microphone. I am the one wielding the pen. And he who wields the pen, he who wields the microphone, wields the masses, is how it goes. So those were some of the things I was going through or dealing with at the time. The rumination, constantly preparing for conversations. But I like how I ended this. I like how I ended both of these paragraphs. I respect truth and loyalty above all else, and I think those are two morals and principles that I will stand on until the day I die. Truth and loyalty above all else. And to the extent of which I value those, I will die for truth. I will die for loyalty. And if people show that same amount of loyalty to me, I can only reciprocate it, and I will only reciprocate it. I will always reciprocate that loyalty back to those who show the same level of loyalty to me. And in terms of truth, I think there's certain types of people in this world who have this passion and this lust for the truth of what things are, maybe because they've been mistreated, maybe because they've gone through situations and found out things that maybe the world isn't really how we think it is, or the world doesn't seem or doesn't present in its entirety of how maybe we once thought it did. It gives us this desire to chase the truth, to stop at nothing, to find out what the truth is. So me, I respect truth and loyalty above all else. And then I like how I ended the second one, and it says, I have things to work through. I possess the abilities to achieve any goal or dream I have, and the resolve to conquer any mountain in my way. So, no matter the size of the mountain, no matter the size of the man that stands in the way, I will overcome. I will achieve, and I will go through the mountain. I will climb the mountain, and even if it takes years, decades, different lifetimes, I will come back and I will climb that mountain. So I like that even though this description of who I am at that time, it was filled with some turmoil, but I try to always end off anything I write with a positive mindset. Or if I'm writing about times that are filled with turbulence and turmoil or hardship, there's always a positive mindset or a positive shift that you can spin out of anything. There's always something in you that you could say, despite these hardships, despite these problems of ruminating thoughts, or these feelings of isolation, or these feelings of being misunderstood, I will still conquer and achieve and overcome any hurdle and climb any mountain that stands in my way, despite anything that happens. So this is the kind of mindset and thinking that people need to approach mental health with, and they need to approach their own problems with. It's think about the hardships, reflect upon whatever negativity in your life, but don't dwell in the negativity, don't dwell in the negative emotions. Look at them for what they are, look at the situation for what it is, and then inject positivity into it, inject positive thinking into the negative situation, and overcome and build yourself up in every situation. It's always about building yourself up. If you're going to dive into the past, if you're going to dive into prior memories in your mind, always come with the weapons of positivity. Always come with injecting positivity into negative memories or negative moments or traumatic moments of the past. You must always wield positivity as your sword. Your sword is the positivity. So I'm looking for things I love. It's got to be in here somewhere. Okay, there it is. I knew it was in here somewhere. Okay? So now we're going to read these next couple pages. So it says, what do you love? So I did this on December 29th, 2024. So what's today? So this was a year ago. Couple days short of a year ago to the date. So it says, I love my partner, I love my family, I love my friends. So we got the basics out of the way. So it says, what do you love? And I even wrote, I said, okay, now the basics are out of the way. What do you really love? What burns in the deepest part of your soul? And here it says, I love the idea of motivating people and helping others become healthier and attain their goals. So that was one thing I love. I love the idea of motivating people. I love the idea of helping people. Another thing I wrote, I love self-improvement, seeing and looking at areas of myself or my life that need improving and working towards those goals. So constantly reflecting, constantly analyzing and dissecting myself in a sense, not in the literal sense of dissecting myself, but in the sense that looking at any gaps, looking at any holes, looking at any areas of my life, whether that's my nutrition, my sleep, spiritually, my interests, my relationships, financially, my career, constantly dissecting whatever areas of my life could be improved upon and adding little things to improve those areas that need improvement. So I love improvement. I love looking at areas that need improvement and improving upon those areas. That's another thing. And the next one that I have here is I love observing. Watching people, trying to be present in the situation, noticing the mood changes and expressions in different tones and conversations, etc. So that does sound a little creepy. I will admit that first line, I love observing / watching people. But in the sense of someone who's analyzing the world, in the sense of someone who is conscious and cognizant of what's going on around them at all times, watching how people interact with each other, watching how people greet each other, watching just like the ebbs and flows and the natural pattern recognitions of the world, just how different people interact, how nature works, how cars flow, how trees bend to telephone wires, how tree limbs are cut off over drive-thrus, just looking and observing at the little details of the world. I enjoy observing things in that sense. And then when it comes to conversations, like, say in a conversation, people, like backhanded compliments is a great example, or like slight disses or slights at people that people throw in unconsciously without even knowing. It's being aware of that in certain times, or being aware that maybe someone is annoyed with someone in a conversation, or annoyed or doesn't like someone else in the room. So it's trying to pick up on things like that. It's trying to observe very little minuscule things like that going on in rooms that are unspoken things, that are very subtle. But I think when you observe things like this, it gives you a better understanding of the world. It gives you a better understanding of yourself when you can observe others and observe small things like that and have an understanding of it. So I enjoy doing that. I love board games with family and friends. I love exercise, training the mind, training the body, and training the soul, working towards unison and synchronicity between the three of them. I love language. I love trying to be a very prolific and literate speaker, as well as learning new words. So I love the idea of being the best orator possible. I love the idea of speaking proficiently, of being articulate, of being very descriptive and a well-speaking person with a large arsenal of words in my repertoire. I love that idea of words. I would describe myself as a wordsmith at times, and I'm constantly, if I come across any words in my life, if I hear a word that I don't know what it is, or I hear in a podcast or a show or in a YouTube video, I hear someone say a word that I don't know what that word means, the first thing I do is I go and I find out the definition, I find out the meaning of that word. So I'm constantly adding new words to my vocabulary. I'm constantly learning about new words, so I really enjoy language in that term, as well as I love the idea of helping others overcome the... Okay, so it says, I love the idea of helping others overcome not feeling as if they are a victim with a diagnosis or a disability. So that ties into my mental health mission of not allowing people to succumb to the diagnosis, or not allowing people to succumb to putting themselves in a box of thinking they're any less capable, or thinking that they have a disability, or thinking that they are a victim. Not allowing that type of mindset to overcome them. So I really love that idea of helping people with that. I love discussing interesting ideas and solutions to problems, to situations, along with philosophy towards things. I love very niche and specific customization of things, of my interests. So when I talk about that, of like little niche customization, I think of like having whatever your interests are and customizing whatever small things are. They could be like little pieces of clothes, or like keychains, or things around the room, or having a flow or a theme to things, a theme to the living room, a theme to your room. So I like that stuff. And again, I'm going over what I did. This was over a year ago now. I'm sharing this with you guys and sharing this information because this, when I was doing this stuff, this was a very hard time in my life. When I was writing down, who do I want to be? When I was writing down, who am I? When I was writing down, what do I love? And I'm writing this stuff down. This is me trying to figure out what I want to do in this world. And this was a time in my life of turbulence, of depression, of anxiety, of suicidal thoughts at times, and really struggling with who I was, where I was going in life, and really not enjoying my current situation, not enjoying what my life turned out to be, not enjoying where I was at in life. So this was me putting in the work. This was me figuring out how I was going to get out of where I was, and really deciding what I love in life, deciding what my purpose will be, deciding what my meaning and what my mission in life will be. So I'm bringing this information to you guys, and I'm sharing with you guys what I did to get out of some of those hardships, to get out of that rock bottom, or to get out of that negative situation in life. So then you guys have the information and have the tools to do the same for yourself. You guys now have the tools and information to find out what you love in life, to find out what your purpose in life is, to find out what you're truly passionate about in life. So then you can go and make a career out of whatever that thing is, and you are not stuck in a state of depression. You are not stuck in a state of being boxed in by a diagnosis or feeling like you're less capable, because ultimately you are not any less capable than anyone else in this world just because you have some sort of diagnosis or have gone through some sort of mental health situation or have gone to a psychiatric facility. That does not make you any less capable in this world, and I will never allow you to think that that makes you any less capable, because it is not true. So this is kind of why I'm sharing some of this information with you guys. So we'll go back to it. Let me take a quick sip of water here. I didn't think I was going to get into this stuff. I mean, I had the idea to go find out, or to find this little section of the binder, but it's kind of interesting. Sometimes I forget what I did in the past to get to where I am. I forget some of the things I did, but I think it's a good reminder to see some of the things you went through, to see some of the turmoil, and to see some of the process of truly finding yourself, of finding meaning, and how you did it. Because along this journey of life, along this path of life, you're going to get lost again. You're going to find yourself in the eye of the storm again, or being pulled under the tide, and being shipwrecked, and being depressed again, and being suicidal again. Life is not a linear ascend to the top of the mountain. You will fall down, you will fail, you will lose your job, you will lose family, you will lose friends, you may lose everything, and you may gain it all back. You may get rich, you may get famous, and then you may lose it all again. So life has these ups and downs. So I think it's important when you're in a state, when you're down, and you crawl and you claw yourself and you really pull yourself out of the negative situation, you learn from it, and you recognize how you did it, and you realize what things did you do to get out of that situation. How did you get out of the situation? What did the process look like? What were the things you were doing? What was the information you were consuming? What were the habits you were doing? How did you get out of that situation? Because that is very, very important, that you can then take with you the rest of your life, and you have a blueprint that you can pull yourself out of any negative situation in life. Because once you've done it once you have pulled yourself out of one negative situation in your life, you can do it 100 times over. You can do it 1,000 times over. Once you have the blueprint that getting out of a hardship and learning how to get out of a hardship, or learning how to get out of rock bottom, you now have the answer. You now have the golden ticket to getting out of that thing. So knowing that and knowing what you did to get out of that thing is important to reflect upon. So I think it's interesting, and I think it's important, and that's kind of why I'm showing you my reflection process and some of the things I did to get out of some of those negative situations. So we'll go back to it. So I said, I love the idea of helping others overcome and not feel a victim with diagnosis or disabilities. I said, I love Japanese culture, the way of living, the respect, and the feng shui. I can't believe I'm sharing some of this stuff. But when you go to, if you're going to go write down what you love, you can't stop yourself. You can't self-police yourself. You need to just let it all out. Whatever comes to mind, whatever you love. If you love little cartoons, if you love little stuffed animals, if you love stuff like this, I love whatever this is, a chakra tree. If you love chakras, if you love spiritual stuff, write it all down. You have to let it all out, and then you can look at it and truly pinpoint which ones mean the most to you. So there's no shame in what you love. There's no shame in what your interests are. So me writing that I love the Japanese culture, and I love sakura trees, and I love the cherry blossom trees. I love samurai. There's no shame in it. Who cares? So, as well as so it says I love deception and masks and the mystery of life. So I love the masks. I have mask tattoos all over. This the mirage That was always my favorite Apex Legends character. This like the illusion, Asylum Houdini, the escape artist. So I love the mystery of things. I love the question mark, the mystery of life, the question of what is life, of what is the purpose of life, what is the meaning of life, why are we on this planet, are we the only ones in the universe? So I love the mystery of things. I love the mystery of life. I love the idea of an underdog story and achieving everything I've ever desired. I love owls. I love wolves. And so this is kind of funny, and this is like shameless, and I'm going to be a shameless person, but you write everything you love. I love owls, okay? I love owls. I love wolves. This is funny. I love peace and solitude. Being alone at night, looking into the sky, and stargazing. So I love stargazing and being alone at night. I love nature. I love teaching and helping kids. So these were some things I was just writing down, just kind of brainstorming and getting a ton of ideas out for what I love. Because when you're lost in life, when you don't like your current situation in life, when you don't have meaning in life, when you don't have purpose in life, when you feel there's a hole, when there's a void missing in your life, you need to fill the void. You need to fill it with purpose and meaning and love. But you need to find out what those things are for you. So you have to jot those things down. You have to brainstorm those things. You have to go out into the world and find out what your interests are and find out what your hobbies are. So then you can actually start to fill your time up with the things that you love more. So you need to be aware of what the things are first that you actually love. So then you can go, you can go and do those things. So after I did what do you love, the next thing I went to is who do you want to be? So it says what qualities, physical qualities. I don't think I'll read this one because this one's kind of personal. But in terms, it just says like it's basically describing like what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of qualities do you want to have as a man? How do you want to be perceived? Like, so I mean, I guess I'll share some of it. So it says what qualities, physical qualities, what kind of person in your community, what kind of man in your house, what kind of person your family views you as. So these are the kind of things as like what kind of person I wanted to be or I want to be in this world. And then a little side note I put at the end, it says, and overall, who do you want to be, kid? So this is me talking to myself. It's up to you. No one but you. You can do anything you set your mind to. So constantly, always having that positive reinforcement, always positively reinforcing my mind to think that I can do anything, to think that I can achieve these things. Hello. Connect to what is your name? Connect other way. Hello. So it says you're suffering from depression. Can you give you any tips? I would say what does your current life look like right now? What does your current day-to-day look like? Do you have a job? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Do you have any interests that you like doing? Or are you kind of just depressed to the point where you're staying in bed? Are you staying in bed all day? 16 years old. Usually depression comes from a lack of purpose and meaning, or it comes from a lack of feeling like you should be doing something else in life. So sometimes depression can feel like you feel depressed because you're stuck at a job that doesn't feel right for you, or you're stuck doing something that you know intuitively. It's your intuition telling you that you should be doing something else in this world. So that's where usually depression comes from. And I always found if I've ever been depressed in this world, getting out of the depression, it is hard. It's not easy. It's not easy to get out of depression, but once you get the ball rolling, once you get your feet moving into doing positive things, before you know it, you'll be out of the depression and you'll have escaped the depression. But the hard thing is getting the ball moving. It's like pushing a boulder. The hardest part about pushing the boulder is getting the boulder moving initially. But once the boulder starts rolling, it's going to be easy to keep that boulder moving. But you have to get the boulder moving initially. So you say it's more about bullying. So at school, is it like online bullying or at school bullying? But yeah, if I've ever been depressed, I go back to what I like doing in life. I go back to what I love most in the world. And for me, what I've always loved the most in the world is being active, is playing sports, is competition. And if I'm ever depressed and I can't get out of bed, and maybe even like you're struggling with hygiene stuff, you're struggling with getting in the shower or brushing your teeth, it's you have to start out slow. So you have to start, maybe one day you make your bed, maybe one day you go for a walk, maybe one day you try something new. And I always reminded myself that this is the way out, is going back to the things that I love, going back to what my interests are. And you have to know what your interests are. You have to know what you love. School, and I don't really eat now and can't sleep. Do you talk to anyone for this, or do you like deal with your depression on your own? Do you have any friends or family that you can talk to with about what's going on your own? Yeah, so you're pretty isolated. I would say try to, and this may even go against like common what people might say, but say you don't have anyone in your life that you think you can discuss things with, or maybe you feel that there's absolutely no one in the world that understands you or understands what you're going through. And that's usually a common feeling. Try to find like a friend. Yeah, so maybe there's one family member, maybe there's one friend, and this is kind of a new thing. I personally like talking to AIs just for the sake of expression. So when I say I like talking to ChatGPT, for example, I think it's better to get out and express what's going on. It's better to actually communicate your displeasures, to communicate whatever hardships you're dealing with. Instead of allowing that to fester inside of you, instead of allowing that depressiveness and anxieties and that isolation and loneliness to build up inside of you, it's almost better to have some sort of outlet, to have some sort of expression. So going to ChatGPT, and you can even set up the microphone, but just ranting about life, ranting about everything, or typing it all out. So you get it off your chest, you get it off your mind, and it's a way of outputting stuff into the world, and it's a way of giving you some control back. Because if you're depressed and you feel isolated and you feel alone and you don't have anyone to express anything to, you don't have anyone to share your voice, to share your opinions, it's a lack of control. It's a very lonely feeling. But if you can go and express, and you can put into words your problems and articulate some of the problems that you're having, that's a great step forward into realizing, and you can maybe then see and pinpoint problems and areas to go forward about what you can solve that some of the things are. I don't really have friends. So you said you're 16. Usually when you're younger, you kind of, it feels more important to have friends. Like I don't have friends either. If it makes you feel any better, I don't have friends. I would say you're my friend, okay? You're my friend now. But outside of you, I have maybe I have maybe like 3 friends in this world. And honestly, I'm okay with that. And I think as you get a little bit older, you will start to realize that people who maybe they act like your friends. Habdullahu is my friend apparently, but but you don't need friends in this world. And ultimately, you don't need fake friends in this world. If you're keeping people around you that are fake just so you aren't alone, but they're fake friends, yes, it'll suck to be alone, but I view it as I'd rather be alone than to surround myself with people who are fake and people who have maybe not the best interests in mind or who have habits and morals and beliefs that I don't align myself with. I would rather surround myself with real genuine people. So sometimes depending on your age, I think it's you feel like you need friends. As a younger person, if you don't have a lot of friends, if you don't have any friends, you think it's maybe the end of the world. But as you get a little bit older, maybe a little bit more mature or some more knowledge in life, the amount of friends or having friends in general, it's not important. If you have purpose, if you have meaning, if you have genuine interest in this world, you'll go out into the world with that purpose and that meaning and those interests that you have, and that's when you'll find real friends. And that's where you'll find people who genuinely align with you. But the hard part is going through being young and being alone and going to school and feeling like you're alone and that there's no one around. But if you're going to school and you feel that way, maybe try branching out, going to different clubs, trying to join clubs so you can find people who share common interests, or even there's stuff online I'm sure you can join discords who share interests with you, or Reddit threads of people who share interests with you. And so there's so many different ways in which you can find people who share the same interests, who share the same passions, and that's where you'll find true friends and you'll build true relationships. But yeah, when I think about friends, it's like keep your circle small. Keep your circle small. Like, you don't want a big circle. You don't want 100 friends, because the moment that some of those people probably get the opportunity to stab you in the back, they'll probably do it. And that's like a pessimistic version of like in a view of this world, but it's genuinely true. So you need to find people that are genuinely loyal with you. And this goes back to what I said on this point about I respect truth and loyalty above all else. But it's that principle. It's if you are not truthful, and if you are not loyal to me, and I cannot reciprocate that to you because of what I feel about you, or you have shown or demonstrated something, those people cannot be around. Those people cannot be around for the mission. And those people will ultimately weigh you down, and they will backstab you when they get the chance. So cut them out of the circle early is kind of my advice to that. But in terms of feeling alone and feeling depressed, I would just say look at what your interests are. What do you love in this world? Do you have anyone you can confide to? Do you have anyone that you can talk to? And if you don't have anyone, maybe start going and talking to ChatGPT, telling them about what your problems are. At least getting your problems formulated, understanding what the problems actually are, understanding what the hardships actually are, and understanding why you're actually feeling some of the like. I'll show you, for example, let's go to ChatGPT. I'll type in, "Hey, I'm feeling depressed. How can I get out of this feeling? What would you recommend?" So a simple question like this with ChatGPT, and we'll see what we get. So I typed in, hey, I'm feeling depressed. How can I get out of this feeling? What would you recommend? So it says, I'm really glad you said something. Feeling depressed can be heavy and isolating, and it doesn't mean you're broken or that this is permanent. I'll keep this gentle, practical, and safe. You don't have to do all of it. Even one small step counts. First, a grounding check right now. Before trying to fix the feeling, help your body calm a notch. Take 3 slow breaths. So that's a simple one we can all do if we're ever anxious, wherever there's ever too much going on. Three deep breaths. In the nose, out the mouth. 3 of those. Slow the mind down, slow the heart rate down a little bit. Short-term things that actually help. Don't argue with the feeling. Trying to force yourself out of depression often makes it feel worse. Instead, say, I'm feeling depressed right now. That's information, not a verdict. Let it be there without letting it run the show. Change state before changing thoughts. Depression lives in the body as much as the mind. Pick one. Take a shower, a warm or cool shower. Step outside, maybe, so it says get in nature for 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe move your body a little bit, stretch your arms, your neck, your jaw. Drink a full glass of water. So maybe some hydration, maybe eat some healthy food. You don't know if you can say it here. Okay, I understand. So I guess I probably understand, and maybe if you don't think you can say it here, that's probably best that you don't. Thank you for having that wherewithal. But honestly, ChatGPT will give you at least some starter, like beginner ideas of how you can deal with like negative situations. Maybe how you can deal with some of the negative emotions you're having, and maybe some of the next steps to get out of maybe something. Like here it says, if your thoughts are heavy or self-critical, try this reframe. Instead of I shouldn't feel like this, try something like something in me needs care right now. So something in you needs nurturing. Pardon me. And then it says, if you can, tell a parent, a guardian, or a trusted adult with how you're feeling, or message a friend, or Canada Talk Suicide Crisis Helpline. So what do you don't? You can say anything you want in the chat. Yeah, don't feel like you need to hold back. You can say whatever you want. I am open to all. I'll literally talk about anything when it comes to mental health. I'll talk about psych wards. I'll talk about my time in psych wards, medications, mental health problems, depression, suicidal thoughts, mania, psychosis. I will talk about it all. There's nothing that you need to feel like you need to hold back. It is all open, my friend. Abdullah, how's your night going? Is Popsicle Boy back? Is Popsicle Boy back in the hospital? Abdullah, do you don't want? So I'm at the point of thinking. So if you're at that point, it's either like you need to tell someone, and it may be embarrassing to tell someone that that's how you feel. It may be like awkward, but honestly, I think it's better that you're alive. I think the people in your life, your family members, your friends, whoever is there in your life, would rather you be alive than you do such a drastic thing like that. So if you have to call a mental health crisis helpline, if you have to write on a note and hand it to your family member because you can't say it out loud, if you have to send them a text, whatever it is, but you have to tell them. If that's where you're at, if that's how you're truly feeling, there's you have to take action, and in terms of take action, you need to help yourself, and you have to. But in terms of you feeling alone, I'm glad you found me. See, this is perfect. I'm glad you could find this show, and we could talk about some of this stuff, because you are. And I don't like the saying. It feels weird. Even I've felt alone at times, and you hear people be like, "Oh, you're not alone," and it's kind of cringy. It's kind of weird. I don't like that kind of sentiment, but I'm glad that we get to hang out and talk about some of the stuff on this New Year's Eve. So it's you, me, Abdullahu. We're hanging out. We're having fun. But being at the point of thinking about suicide, yeah, talk to someone. You have to go and tell someone. If that's what it's going to come to, you must tell someone. You must tell someone, because your life is important. Your life matters, and you're not going anywhere. It's not like that. It's not like that. Explain to me. Explain to me. I'm listening. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand. When it came to like suicide, if I've ever been like felt that way, a couple of the times that I felt suicidal, I drove myself to the hospital. I just took myself there. And it was even like, I remember a time I sat in triage, and it's weird sitting in the emergency section of a hospital, and there's patients around, there's people around, and you're like talking to a nurse, and you're explaining to them why you're there. So it feels awkward to say, like, to talk about suicide, or to talk about suicidal ideologies and ideas out loud. So I remember on my phone, I wrote out everything on my phone. I was like, these are the ideas I'm having. This is why I'm here. This is who my doctor is. This is where I live. So I wrote down in my phone all the notes, so I didn't have to say anything. And I just went like this, and I just held the phone, and I was like, here, I'm not saying anything. I don't want to talk about it. This is why I'm here. But it's kind of weird being in triage, and a nurse. And at times, I think the nurses in emergency can be, they can be a little heartless, and especially they can be cold. But I think that's part of, they have to be cold. They have to be that way because of the vast majority and variety of things that they deal with in emergency. They're dealing with a lot of things. So at times they need to have a cold shoulder. But it's a very inhumane feeling, describing your suicidal ideas and your suicide feelings to a nurse that doesn't really care. They don't care. They're just doing their job, essentially. Like, they're just a person doing their job, and you're surrounded by a bunch of strangers in emergency, and you don't want to like discuss it. So it's a very weird feeling, and I remember that being very weird. That was one of them. But yeah, if I've ever felt suicidal, you have to take yourself to the hospital, tell someone, or go. If you tell someone that that's how you're feeling, they will talk to you. They're not going to ignore that. They care about you. They love you. They're not just going to ignore that that's how you're feeling. They are not going to. You can talk about what's going on. You can disclose that sort of information to people. But I don't. So with the diagnosis that I have, you go through. I'm not going to say what the diagnosis is because I don't believe in giving it power. I don't give power to the diagnosis. Okay, so you go through mania, and sometimes you go through psychosis, and then on the opposite side, on the other end of the spectrum, you could say, you go through depression. So you go through severe depressions. So sometimes, or this is what has happened in the past, is I would go through the mania and psychosis sometimes, and I'd end up in hospital, and then I'd come out of that, and then I'd be healthy enough and seemingly like I was in a good spot to come out of hospital, and then I would end up back in hospital within a few weeks on the other end in the depression, dealing with no purpose, not wanting to live anymore, this sort of thing. So I ended up in hospital a couple times on the negative side of the coin and dealing with the depression and dealing with those negative feelings. So I understand a large spectrum of mental health. I understand the highs. I understand feelings like grandiose, feeling unstoppable, feeling like a god. I understand that stuff. I understand the psychotic breaks, the delusions, the hallucinations, the spiritual messaging, the spiritual awakening feelings, paranoia. I understand sleep deprivation. And then the other side of it is the depression, the suicide ideologies, and the feelings of despair and anxiety. And so there's nothing I will ever hold back. I will discuss it all. I am open to discussing and talking about all of that stuff. So there's no shame in it. And I think the more that you get comfortable with the stuff that you've lived through, the stuff that has gone on in your life, if you empower it, if you give it meaning, if you give it purpose, and you don't look at it as a constant negative thing, and if the memories come up every time and they're constantly dragging you down and they're constantly dragging you into something that you fear thinking about, that's an area in your life that you need to reflect on more. That's an area of your life or traumatic time in your life that you need to reflect on it more and figure out why it's causing so much turmoil still to this day. So I believe in bringing those negative emotions to light. I believe in reflecting on them, reliving them, and hashing out, and ultimately skewing the narrative, changing the narrative, and building mythologies around your own story. It's kind of like being the superhero in your own story, or being the villain in your own story. Whatever the fuck you want to be, it doesn't matter. But it's not letting those moments, it's not allowing that baggage of the past to hold you down and pin you to a version of yourself, or pin you and drag you and drag baggage along as you move forward in this life. That's not how we operate, and that's not how any of you guys will operate moving forward, because that's no way to live your life, and it's no way to have a mindset and a positive mindset and a healthy, happy life coming out of negative situations. It's not a good way to deal with it. But let's go back to reading. So I was reading, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be is a question you may ask yourself. So I said, so this is talking about like relationships, what kind of like father I want to be. It's just kind of interesting. And then it says like, I will prioritize my health, my well-being, my fitness. I will be strong my whole life, mentally and physically. I will prioritize my mobility and longevity. I will be there for my grandkids and great-grandkids. I will be healthy and active. I will always make sure I am good mentally and mental health-wise, and reach out whenever I need help. So that's a great transition into this conversation that we are having right now. So I wrote here, I will always reach out whenever I need help. So it may feel embarrassing. It may feel weird to have to reach out at times, but understanding that the people around you, there are people that genuinely want to help when you have hard times going on, and recognizing that sometimes you need to lean on other people, that you can't do everything alone sometimes. So I think that message is very important. So I'm glad that I have this actually written down here, because this was me in a terrible situation in my life. This was me trying to figure out where I wanted to go in life, who I wanted to be, what sort of message I want to bring into this world. So I'm glad that I have a lot of these written down. And so then on this, it says, who do you want to be? So this was from a year ago. It says, I will be independent. I will be fearless, chasing my goals and dreams, always. I will be the leader, the role model. I will be kind, loving, caring, compassionate, humorous. I will be wise. I will be constantly growing and evolving, taking life lessons and resources around me to succeed and achieve my dreams. I will be present in every moment I am in. I will be reflective. I will be grateful always. I will always thank God. I will be me unapologetically. I will be someone who breaks barriers down around mental health, diagnosis, and stigmas. I will help progress the mental health and mental health system for future generations. I will be someone who helps others achieve their goals and dreams. I will help others be happier and healthier and ultimately love life. I want to have the freedom to do what I want whenever I want, the ability to go anywhere whenever. I will be my own employer. I will have no financial stress. I will be overabundant with love, wealth, wisdom, and gratitude. And I will be disciplined. And then it says at the bottom, I will be a motivational speaker. I will be a trailblazer. I will be me. I will have my own philosophies. I will love being me. I will be healthy and happy. So this is, and this may be obscure. This may look like weird, kind of like who it may be weird to think about yourself as who am I, and to write down in descriptive, actually describe yourself as to who you actually are, or it may be weird to write down who you want to be in this world, what kind of things you want to achieve. It may be weird to write down what you love in this world, what your passions are. But when you do something like this, it allows you to look at what you actually like. It allows you to look at what you're actually interested in this world. Because if you're in a job, or if you're stuck in a career, or you're stuck at school doing something you don't want to do, you need to figure out where you're going to go. You need to figure out a blueprint, and you need to have a vision of where you want to go in life. You can't just stay stuck in the mud. You can't just stay stuck where you are and pitying your situation and pitying your life. You need a trajectory. You need something to aim at, and you need to write it out. You need to write out what the interests are. You need to write out what the loves are. And you need to write out what the goals are, so you can then chase those things in this world. And if it's content that you want to create, if it's social media that you want to do, doing something like this is even much more important, because then you'll do social media. You'll do content based upon what you love. You'll do it based upon what you're interested in. And if you look through me doing these pages and reading them out loud of who I want to be, or what do I love, or what I want to achieve, all throughout this is like, I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a public speaker. I want to help people with mental health. I want to help people with their diagnoses. I want to change mental health. I want to be a trailblazer in the field of mental health and changing your mentality. So all through this, you can see common narratives. You can see common things that you like. And when I did this and I reflected on this and I decided I'm going to do the Be My Guest show and really start talking about mental health, I had a foundation. I had interests. I had love. I had passions of things that I can now talk about and bring into the content. And it would have been, it was honestly hard, because I at a time when I was a little younger, I was doing videos. I was trying to do podcast-like things. I was trying to do little clips. But I didn't really know what I was going to do. I didn't really know what my sole purpose or my sole intention was going to be moving forward. But when I started doing this type of reflection and this type of work and learning what I actually was interested in, then I could carry it. And now I had a blueprint. Now I had pillars and what my moral principles are and the foundation for what I stood for. And now I can take that and aim that in a direction, and aim that at my goals, aim that at my dreams, and now that's what I take and I go and achieve those things instead of kind of wandering aimlessly through the world of content, through the world of social media. Is there any people that you meet that have the same problems as me? So first of all, I wouldn't say that you have any problems. Like feeling like you're lonely or feeling like you're isolated in this world. I wouldn't say that's a problem. I think that's a very common human feeling and human experience. So I would change kind of saying that it's a problem. But in terms of people that have been suicidal, yeah, there are so many people in this world who deal with mental health situations and that have felt suicidal, that have felt depressed. But oftentimes there are many people that they go through those battles alone. They deal with those battles alone, and you would probably never even know that someone potentially tried to commit suicide or potentially was hospitalized for mental health situations. And sometimes it's the strongest people in life. Sometimes it's the happiest people in life. And sometimes it's the people that you would never guess may have mental health problems or feel suicidal, that they struggle the most with these types of situations. So yeah, I know many people who have situations that they feel lonely or they feel suicidal. I've come across many people. So you are not alone in feeling how you feel. It is a normal human emotion to feel alone and to feel like what you're doing in this world isn't right. But it's not. What's important is not allowing those feelings to override you and ultimately determine the entirety of your future. Or when you feel that way and you feel lonely and you feel depressed or you feel suicidal, it's not allowing those emotions to win. It's not allowing those emotions to win and you taking some sort of actions that will change your life forever, because there are actions that you can do that you may never come back from. And actually, I'll share a story of one of my friends. And I said I don't have many friends, but this is someone I met through the hospital. Actually, they're in a group I'm in, and he tried to commit suicide. This guy, I won't say his name, but he tried to commit suicide, and he now has, I think he has a lot of physical issues and he has a lot of physical limitations that he can't do a lot of things. His body doesn't work as well as it did before. I think he damaged some things, either mentally, physically, when he tried to commit suicide. So in me sharing this story is I'm trying to say that there may be harsh actions that you may want to take that could severely and drastically impact the rest of your life if you do those things now. So it's not allowing those to win. It's knowing that within you are stronger, you are more capable of overcoming those feelings and overcoming those emotions. But yeah, this guy that I talk about, this story, he is one of the most positive people that I know in the world. He is the most kind, complimentary, positive people, and you would never expect, or you would never know that he tried to commit suicide, and that some of the problems he has in this world now, some of the physical limitations, are because of the suicide attempt. You would never even know that. And I think that's just a great example that no matter how positive some people are, how humorous they are, how happy they may present themselves, you never know what kind of inner demons they struggle with or what kind of inner battles they struggle with themselves. So there's multitude of people. There are many people who have those situations and those struggles. So this was kind of interesting to pull this out. This is I knew I was going to talk about like goals and reflections in the show today, and I'm honestly, before I sat down to get into doing the show today, there was part of me that really didn't want to start. I was reluctant to start. I was putting it aside, and I wasn't I was just sitting here doing nothing, and I was like, I don't want to start. I don't have anything good to talk about. But I have this idea, and the idea is that if I just record, if I record, naturally things will come out. Naturally positive things will come out. Naturally positive messages will come out. Meaningful stories, meaningful conversations with you guys and meeting people will come out naturally. But I have to just sit and I have to press record. I have to press live, and in so doing that, me talking out loud, there will be moments of nothing. There will be moments of me sitting here with my hands in my lap and not knowing what to talk about, not knowing what to do. But as well, there will be moments filled with great knowledge and great wisdom and great stories. But I'll never get to share those stories, or I'll never get to tell that information if I'm not actually live. So I think it's been a good show so far. I think it's been good that I sat down and I went live, and some of this stuff came out, and I didn't even know I was gonna pull out this binder. I didn't know I was gonna read through this stuff. So let's see what else I got in. I don't know what I got in here. This is just like a keeping track of like monthly spending. I think a lot of like random stuff. This is from February 2024. And it just says, that's what intuition is. Accepting change. Open your heart to change. Parallels of insanity. My core beliefs and principles. Walk through the doors that open. So it's just like random stuff. Yeah, it's kind of funny. So there's that. So that was more of the reflection aspect of what I've been doing in terms of analyzing my current life. And now I will show how I set goals. Now we'll transition into more of like a goal setting esque type of so let me get my goals. Let me get my goals for you guys. And there's kind of like, I'll preface this by saying there's kind of like a caveat to setting goals. And it is to say that like when it comes to setting goals, there's kind of like two types of thinking. And one is that we live in Western society, which is like, Western society is fast-paced, it's fast-moving, it's achieving quotas, it's getting things done, it's always more. It's more production, it's more money, it's more revenue. So we're always in this type of mindset. So I think it's understanding that that's kind of how our society is structured, and that's kind of how our society works. It's understanding that. So aligning your goals with that type of mentality and that type of structure is one thing to do that. And I think another thing to do when it comes to setting goals is understanding that that's how society works, understanding that it's this fast-paced production like worker bee, worker ant type, constantly fast-paced, anxiety-driven economy. Understanding that, so it's goals that align with that, and then it's goals that align with slowing down and kind of goals that are more grounding, goals that slow your mentality down, goals that allow you to step aside from the distractions of the world, step aside from consumption of social media, consumption of just constantly the noise of the world, and allowing your mind to freely think, allowing your mind to freely process things in this world. Because if you want to be a unique thinker, if you want to be someone who has unique ideas or comes up with great things, you can't swim the same direction as everyone else. You can't be someone who swims with the rest of the ocean or the rest of the school of fish. You need to go against the cookie cutters. You need to go against the school of fish. And to do that, you need to silence your mind. You need to not consume what everyone else consumes. You need to not think the way everyone else thinks. So I think at times with my goal setting, a lot of it is subtraction. Instead of like adding things, one lane is add things, do this, do this, do this, do this, get this done by this time, get this done by this time. The other side of the coin is subtract things. Subtract this out of my life, subtract this out of my life, subtract consuming this, these types of narratives, subtract these types of opinions, subtract these types of people. So there's those two kind of things that I work with when it comes to setting goals. So I'll read these that I set. These were some of the goals I set. And it says, goals to achieve by July 10th. And I wrote this on January 10th. So about a year ago, I wrote these goals to achieve by July 10th. And some of the goals, I categorized the goals into five different areas. The first area was family goals. The second area was health and physical goals. The third area was personal goals. And the fourth area was financial and career goals. And then the fifth area was random goals. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to share what some of the random goals were. I'm going to share whether I achieved some of them or not. And I think this is important for me to do this and this type of reflection because honestly, I wanted to do this and I was going to do it on my own, but I might as well share with you guys. I might as well share with the world how I set goals, how I reflect on goals. So why not? I'm going to do it live. But why I want to analyze it is so that I can see what some of my goals were. I can see if there was like a common structure, a common narrative to my goal setting at this time. So when I set new goals, I can draw on kind of this, and I can just use this as like a blueprint to use the same categories and just to see if I achieved any of the goals. I think if you're going to set goals, you need to try to achieve some of them. So let's see. In terms of family goals, I said talk with dad. And so this is important with goals. It's set dates. Whatever the goal is, you have to set a date with the goal. Don't just write a goal and say, my goal is to have a new job. What is the likelihood that you're going to get a new job if your goal is to get a new job? What is your goal with the live? Why do you do this? So my goal with live streaming is to essentially how there are content creators, there are people who live stream, but I think what's missing with live streaming, what's missing with content creation is people with an actual purpose and an actual meaning to, I should take this down. I don't know why I have this hood up. I think what's missing is that people don't have like a, that's what I put up. Here's bad. People don't have an actual mission, or they don't have real purpose or real things they're trying to influence or change when it comes to the content creation. They're kind of just creating content for the sake of content. But my goal with live streaming is to take my life experiences with mental health, to take my life experiences with psychiatry, all of the medications I've taken, all of the knowledge and wisdom and information I've taken from 7 different psychiatric hospitalizations, dealing with suicidal thoughts, dealing with depression, dealing with psychosis, dealing with mania, taking all this accumulative knowledge and accumulative experiences and presenting it to people so they have a better understanding of their own mental health situations, a better understanding of how psychiatry works, so then they can move through the field of psychiatry. They can move through their own mental health situations easier, better, and give them the tools and essentially arm them with the tools and knowledge and information to defend themselves properly, to advocate for themselves properly, and how to motivate themselves and how to change their mindset ultimately when it comes to diagnosis, when it comes to depression, when it comes to some of these situations. So that's kind of my goal. That's kind of my mission in live streaming, is to kind of rebrand mental health, restructure mental health, and help out anyone who goes through mental health situations and problems and psychiatry, and just give them a better understanding, give them more information that they have at their disposal, give them more insight into what it really looks like in the perspective as someone who has gone through a lot of the situations already, and give them a more authentic, honest, vulnerable, raw approach to mental health and psychiatry. Not this like this makeup covered like pretty picture of what mental health is. Like I'm going to be the blunt force. I'm going to be the tip of the spear. I'm going to be the one who tells the truth of what goes on, shares my opinions, kind of talks about a lot of this stuff. So that's kind of my mission with live streaming and doing the whole mental health stuff. But in terms of, let's go back to, so I was talking about setting a date when it comes to setting goals. And you're not always going to hit the goals. Oh, are we past New Year's? Oh, I didn't even say Happy New Year's. See, I'm so invested in doing the show that I don't care about New Year's. Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy New Year's. That's pretty funny. I didn't even notice. I tried to make a mental note before I got to it. I was like, when it gets to it, you need to say Happy New Year's. Yes, Happy New Year's, everybody. I'm glad we are all together. I'm glad everyone's hanging out in here. But cheers, it's water. New Year's is just another day. New Year's is just another day. And if it's just another day, ultimately. That's kind of how I view New Year's. Anyways, hydrate. Yes, hydrate. Get some water in ya. You too. You go get some water in ya. Connect the other way. What's your name? You don't have to tell me. It's okay. You don't need to tell me your name. But yes, hydrate. We need to stay hydrated. I felt I was losing my voice. I was pretty I was getting into it earlier, and I was losing my voice. But yeah, let's go back to goal setting. And then I'm gonna browse the internet. I didn't think I was gonna talk this long. You're gonna go get some now? Yes, go get some water. It is 12:10 for me. What time is it for you? I live in Canada, so it is 12:10. Get some water. We can cheers our water. Is Habdullahu in here? 5:10 a.m. Oh, so you've been up all night. You've been hanging out all night. I'm guessing you're from America. 5:10 a.m. School tomorrow? What's today? Is today a weekday? You do you have school in the morning? No school. Well, that's good. You don't have school tomorrow. But yeah, I'm glad you found my stream, and I'm glad you could come hang out. I'm more of a night owl. Are you a night person? I like the peace and solitude of the night. The quietness of the night. Yeah, the night's nice. Sometimes it can be very lonely, but if you have the right headspace, if you have the right mentality, if you're in a good spot, I think being awake at night is very nice. It's very peaceful. More so in the summertime. I like being outside in the summertime and going for walks in the middle of the night. It's not as enjoyable during the winter just because it's so cold and there's a lot of snow here. But in terms of summer walks and like going and laying on like the grass somewhere and looking at the stars, now we're talking. Now we're speaking my language. That's the good stuff. Going in stargazing in the middle of the summer in the nighttime, that's the good stuff. I am from Portugal, by the way. Oh, nice. From Portugal. That's cool. Well, it's nice to meet you, my new friend from Portugal. I'm glad we could cross paths on this New Year's Eve. From Portugal. That's super cool. Yeah, I'm from Canada. Nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you, my Portuguese friend. See, it's so interesting because there's truly no boundaries. There's no borders to mental health situations, to the types of human emotions and human experiences. They're cross culture, they're cross country, they're cross continent. So it's super cool to interact with you from Portugal. I met someone from Belgium the other day, so that was kind of cool. But it's nice to meet you from Portugal. Connect the other way. That's super cool. That is super cool. Okay, I'm going to get through. I'm going to talk about these goals because I want to analyze them myself. And then let's go and scroll the internet for a little bit and hang out. But let's go through goal setting. So like I said, it's important to really put a date on your goals, because it's one thing to set a goal, but if you set a goal, you'll just drift around. It's like you'll set a goal and it'll be in your head, but you won't actually be striving to attain it. You won't actually be reaching out to attain that goal. It'll just kind of drift around. So it's important to actually set a date with the goal. And so some of the family goals I had was, so it said like be fully open and honest with someone. It said reach out to someone. It said talk with my dad by this date. It said like activity with parents once every 5 weeks. No suppression around family. And then some of the health and physical goals. It was a weight goal. It said run 5 consecutive miles by July 1st. 15 strict pull-ups. Yoga 2 times a week. Daily meditation. Light movement daily. Bi-weekly self-nature trip. So these were some of the random goals. Can't believe I'm sharing this stuff, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Some personal goals. So it says 20 minutes reading daily, journal daily, open and honest to everyone. And then it says, I do not fear judgment or failure. It says, I am bold and confident. I am grateful and abundant. It says, find public speaking group, join rock climbing gym, talk to strangers and start conversations. And I think when it comes to setting goals, it's always you put I am. It's not I will be. For example, it's not I will be bold and confident. It's I am bold and confident. It's not I will be grateful and abundant. It is I am grateful and abundant. It's always talking about yourself in the presence of, in the present moment of whatever you are. This cold water is heaven. Yes, the cold water. I need to add some more water. Cold water in the middle of the night. Honestly, there's nothing better. You wake up in the middle of the night and you just chug water. You wake up in like 3-4 a.m. and you just chug cold water. That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. That's some good water. See, it's about the small stuff in life, like that. Enjoying some cold water. You kidding me? So yeah, it's always the I am. I am grateful. I am abundant. I am unstoppable. I am confident. I am fearless. I am honest. I am loyal. I am whatever. I am great. I'm passionate. It's the I am. It's not I will be. So I think that's important when it comes to some goals. And then I had some financial and career goals. And then I'm going to share some of the random goals I had. So it said, listen more than you speak. So listen more than you speak. So I think just in conversation, one-on-one conversations is allowing other people to speak, allowing other people to be the topic of conversation, allowing whoever I'm talking with to talk about themselves, me asking questions about them, really being interested and focusing on what they're saying instead of just waiting for my turn to interject with my conversations. So I think that's an interesting one. Practice speaking, reading out loud. I would say I've done a good job with that. I've been speaking out loud a lot. Plant bonsai seeds. I did that. And this one is interesting. It said delete Spotify. And why I wanted to delete Spotify, this goes back to how I talked about taking things out. Taking things out that stress you out, taking things out that bring in anxieties to your life in terms of consuming social media, consuming world wars, consuming news all around the world, consuming negative opinions from maybe family, friends, and stepping aside and stepping away from some of those people. So one of the things I put here is deleting Spotify. So not allowing myself to constantly be playing music that drags me into negative song loops or drags me into rap songs of negativity and rapping about drugs and trap music, because I like rap music. I like emo rap music. I like people like XXX Tentacion. I like Lil Peep, Juice World. I like these types of figures. What didn't you tell me? Let me know. So I don't want to get caught in those negative thought loops. So I wanted to delete listening to music and stop listening to music, as well as when it comes to meditating. Meditating becomes much harder when songs are constantly looping in your head. So that was an interesting one. And then it says go to public places, make connections, and then it says trust intuition always. Always trust your intuition. So those were some of the goals I set. And in the next couple days here, I'm going to set some new goals. I'm going to set some goals for the next 3 months, set some goals to achieve in the next 6 months, and then maybe some goals to achieve in the next year. So that's kind of my reflection process and my goal setting process. What didn't you tell me? Tell me something. Tell me something. I'm listening. You were born in Ukraine. How interesting. You were born in Ukraine and you moved to Portugal. So how long have you lived in Portugal? Ukrainian. A little bit of a world traveler you are. Isn't Portugal beautiful? A long time. It wasn't really for the war. So you've lived in Portugal most of your life. Portugal. I've never been to Europe. I've never traveled. Only been to America and Canada. North America. Have you traveled anywhere? Have you ever been to North America? So I think we're going to wrap up that segment of the show talking, what did I even talk about? Talked for 2 hours and I don't know what I talked about. Talking about reflection, talking about being in a negative situation and writing down who I want to be, writing down what are some of the things I love, writing down who I am, what kind of person I'm going to be, and using that to catapult me and using that as a stepping stone into doing this show and building off of some of those ideas and building off of some of those interests into actually making them a concrete thing and building the foundation of the show based upon the things I love and some of the ideas that I want to carry forward. And then we reflected on goal setting, how to goal set, because when it comes to the going into a new year, that is a time of reflection. That is a time of goal setting. So I think this was kind of a perfect show to sum all of that up. Yeah, it's beautiful. You can search Serra da Estrela. It's a mountain that has snow. It's rare snow in Portugal. Sierra da Estrela. Okay, I probably said that wrong. Okay, I'll search it up. Let's go. Um Estrela. Oh, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Portugal. Like that's so cool. We don't have this. Nothing looks like this over here in North America. I love how old some things look. Okay, we're just gonna show. uh, Porto. Porto? You want me to look up Porto? Is that what you're asking? Porto, Portugal. This is cool. Like, look at that wall. That wall looks so old. Yeah, we don't have cool cities like this. Well, that's not true. Let's see. They're just like, it's different. Beautiful. Yes, it is. Where do you want to travel to? If you had a dream spot, dream place to go travel, where would it be? It looks like England for some reason. Yeah. A lot of our architecture in Canada looks like England. Like, what is it called? Big Ben? Like, that's Big Ben in London. And then this is Parliament Building in Ottawa. It's like a reconstruction or a tip of the cap to old Big Ben. Looks like England. Okay, let's go throw on some headphones. That was a good stream. Monaco. Is Monaco Monaco's its own country? That's pretty beautiful. That is beautiful. That is pretty beautiful. Let's go see what YouTube has to offer. Let's go see what YouTube has. Spiritual awakening has a dark side no one talks about. Let's see what this is all about.
Noticed how the people who seem to understand life most deeply are the ones who've stopped talking about it. I want you to truly feel that question. Don't just hear the words. Think of someone you may have known, or perhaps someone you've only read about or seen from a distance. There is a certain quality to them, isn't there? A stillness. It's not the stillness of a stagnant pond, but the stillness of the deep ocean. A profound quiet that exists not for lack of movement, but because the movements within are so vast and slow that they appear from the surface as perfect calm. They listen more than they speak. Their presence is felt not by what they add to a room, but by the space they effortlessly create within it. They are, in a word, unimpressive. And by that I mean they no longer feel the need to perform the exhausting task.
Do I play something? As in term, like video games, do I play? I only play Risk. I only play Risk Global Domination. That's the only video game I play. I play a lot of board games, but I don't play many video games. How about you?
Of impressing anyone, least of all themselves. Now, contrast this with the spiritual marketplace. The loudest voices in the room, the ones with the most fervent declarations, the most elaborate systems, the most passionate certainty, are they truly the wisest? Or are they simply the most enchanted by the sound of their own seeking? The most frantic seekers, with their libraries of sacred texts and their calendars full of workshops, often seem to be the farthest from home, precisely because they are so busy searching for it that they never stop to realize they have never, not for a single moment, left its porch. And yet, there's something happening right now beneath the noise and glare of our civilization, a quiet exodus. It is not a march of bodies, not a physical migration to mountaintops, though that may be a part of it for some. No, this is a migration of presence. It is a subtle but decisive withdrawal of attention. People who once sought enlightenment with a burning, almost violent intensity, who wrestled with their demons and angels in the public square, are now fading into the background. Their pronouncements cease. They decline the debates, they are withdrawing. Not in anger, not in disappointment, but with a slow, knowing smile. They are becoming silent. Why? It is not a failure. It is not a surrender to the world's weight.
I've never played Counter-Strike. I tried to avoid video games. When I was younger, I played a lot of video games, and I got quite addicted to video games. So I try to avoid them now because I know how tempting and how addicting they are. So I would rather just have that time to do other things. So I just don't play them. I try to not play them because I'll just get addicted to them and then I'll spend all my time playing video games. And I think going forward, like when it comes to like headsets, and if you look at games like or movies like Ready Player One, when they have the full body haptic feedback suits and this type of stuff, I don't think I'll ever put on a meta headset or like a virtual reality headset. I don't think I'll ever put one of those on in my life. I refuse. Because I was at my friend's house and he had one of these like you know those things that you sit in? It's like the F1, it's like a full bucket seat you sit in and it has the steering wheel and then you drive in the game. I played that for like the one night I was over at his place and it was so fun that's literally all I thought about and wanted to do for the next like 2 weeks. And I thought to myself, yeah, I need to not do that. I need to not play video games. 750 hours in Counter-Strike. How many days is that? 750 divided by 24. How many days is that? 4, 8, 12, 16. What is that, like 30 days played? That's a lot of hours of Counter-Strike, my friend. That is a lot of hours of Counter-Strike. A lot of hours of Counter-Strike. 31. Yeah, that's a lot. Damn. Should we watch some Counter-Strike? Let's see.
Gonna boost Naf up. Can he find any players? Is down on the bench. Yes, he can. Alexi B caught napping. We're gonna bullet perforating through his head. Now this does give Liquid a chance.
Oh, what a flick!
Himself a kill on X7. We've got a round of it now, ladies and gentlemen. The bomb's gonna get planted, and Ents gonna have to try and retake. Naf gonna take the risk of going into apps. He has struck once again. He's gonna have to come out with a 1-on-2 clutch plus an ace if he's gonna pull this out the hat. Ents breathing down his neck. Smoke gonna get deployed onto the site and try and scoot.
Oh!
Flick off to Sergey, that is! And now Nafly going to use that smoke to his advantage, just pulls back to the van. Waiting, anticipating an Alu push. He comes through.
Oh!
That's enough from Nafly. That's absolutely set.
Canadian going crazy. Oh, you want to go pro in CSGO? That'd be cool.
Down 3 plays now, and it's just Rain.
This is the game you play, yeah? Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike Go, or is this different? Not CS2. Oh, so this is a different game? CS2. Oh, these are different games?
Build a website you love.
Huh. I thought these were like the same game.
Let's have at it, mate.
They,
Gear up. We aren't going on a windy walk here. Grenade out. Flashbang.
oh, interesting.
Okay.
Who's like the best player?
This is terrifying how much room JL's been given. He's not going to be ready for it. Oh my goodness! And Dog wasn't ready for that.
And he's got a ton of utility, man.
No.
They're split.
They've split up.
This is terrifying. JL turns back, takes a second, and on 10 points of health.
Nade. He needs to get out of the bomb site. He needs to get out right now. Oh, he crossed forward. JL!
Just take a sip. Take a deep
He's
breath.
Mongolian.
This map is absolutely over.
Oh, I'll pull up the best moment. This is the best clip.
Oh, he's right there.
One close. You hit him. Spam. I'll get him. Oh no.
Dead.
I think there's one in Z. Care. I'm sitting in the smoke.
I'm gonna molly him then.
Okay. I just got mollied. I think they mollied me. Where did your molly hit?
I didn't throw it yet. Want me to throw it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm blind. They just fucking threw a fucking perfect flash at me. These guys like know right where I'm at.
That's brutal. Great clip, XQC. Great clip. Now my algorithm, what is this? How to make pickled Pepsi at home for free? Yeah, the voice crack. Now my algorithm is going to be filled with like CSGO stuff instead of Mr. Alan Watts sitting in the woods. Alan Watts sitting in the woods doing what Alan Watts does.
It's astonishing. All this is only 20 or 30 minutes from the heart of San Francisco. Not a human habitation in sight anywhere. I've been living out here for some months to write and to absorb an atmosphere that is different from the city, to try and find out what is the essential difference between the world of nature and the world of man. Because there's an obvious difference, like the difference of artistic styles. No one, for example, would confuse a painting by Leonardo with a painting by Picasso, or music by Bach with music by Shostakovich. And in the same way, there seems to be a complete difference of style between the things that human beings do, done their thing, Kansas and Nebraska. And
does he have a walking stick?
It's perfectly easy.
Oh, of course he does.
And I'm in the middle of all this. I feel...
Alan's the best. Alan Watts is the best.
Just for a moment, I want to put in an aside about biological reproduction. See, when I think back...
These videos are old. Alan Watts died in 1972, I think. So these are old videos.
To my grandfather, whom I knew fairly well. He was, when I was a little boy, he was something extraordinarily impressive. He looked like King Edward VII. He was a very, very elegant man. With a little goatee beard. He didn't have sideburns like this, and he had shorter hair, but he was a very elegant fellow, dressed beautifully. And I thought, you know, he was the very image of God. And now here I am, the same age as he was when I first knew him. And I have 5 grandchildren. And I'm sort of no longer impressed by grandfathers.
I always felt like I could do anything. That's the main thing people are controlled by. Thoughts, their perception of themselves. They're slowed down by their perception of themselves. If you're taught you can't do anything, you won't do anything. I was taught I could do everything. And I'm Kanye West at age 36.
Art support.
I don't know what's
when this goes.
What are point rewards? I don't know what that is. Kanye, yeah, the man. I don't know what point rewards are.
Online or whatever it is, it really matters, and it like really doesn't matter. What matters is, you know, the people who are sparked by it, and the people who are like offended by it. It doesn't fucking matter. Fuck you, you know, like, because it's about motivating the doers, and you know, people can.
Oh, so if people follow me, they get points? Is that what you mean? I'm gonna make a note. I'll set that up after the stream. Is that how it works? If you follow, you get 300. It's called, what did you say it is? Why don't you have points rewards? Yeah, and if they stay or like chat, they get 10 for every 5 minutes, I think. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'll set that up. I'll set that up after my show. Thank you. Thank you for that little... I don't really know too much about Twitch, honestly. I don't watch any streamers really. I don't watch anyone on Twitch, so I don't. I'm trying to get affiliate. So I think for affiliate I don't know what the qualifications are. I think I need a certain amount of followers. I need like some view. I don't know. Whatever. I'll get it. I love the album Yeezus. Yeah. All of his albums are bangers.
Right all they want, but what are people doing? And if there's anybody that's out there doing, they know how hard it is to actually do. If everything
I love his album World War III. I'm just kidding. I don't think it came out.
I did failed, which it doesn't, it actually succeeds. But if everything I did...
What phone do you have? I have an iPhone. I think it's like I don't know what it is. Let's see. iPhone 12, I think. I'm gonna get rid of it though. I'm going back to the flip phone. I'm going back to the Stone Age. I have a nothing phone, 3A Pro. 16, you don't need a phone. Phones are useless. You can have my phone. There's no point in having a phone. Phones are useless.
Failed. Just the fact that I'm willing to fail is an inspiration. People are so scared to lose that they don't even try. It's crazy that we live in a world that if you're super positive and super creative, that it's scary. So what does that tell you about the mentality of most people if you're scared of like positivity and...
To stop me because my mother made me believe in myself. No matter how many people tell me, stop believing in yourself. Stop saying what you can do. Stop affirming what you're going to do and then completing that in real life. That's the improper way to do it. I refuse to follow those rules that society has set up in the way that they control people with low self-esteem, with improper information, with branding, with marketing. I refuse to follow those rules. It's about truth. It's about information. It's about awesomeness. And the only luxury is time. The time you spend with your family. That's the only luxury.
It's about awesomeness. Damn, Kanye's the best. It's about awesomeness.
Well, they need to be able to express themselves without fear of judgment. What I love telling people is like, who do you know? And let's go, especially black men, but you know, I'm 41 years old and I don't know anyone, you know, that up as much as I have that's still as successful. So I want to prove that you can get fat, you can say the wrong things, you can piss a whole
and you can be president of the United States.
Well, yeah, it's yeah. When I had my accident, I found out at that moment nothing in life is promised except death. If you have the opportunity to play this game of life, you need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past. Everybody asked me the question. They wanted to know, what kind? I know he's gonna wild out and he's gonna do something crazy. Everybody wanted to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know. Every day when you go to the gym, when you go to work.
This is some good stuff. Inject this into my veins. This is the good stuff. This is the good stuff.
It's a challenge. You got to work hard and you have to completely, tirelessly, countlessly, you know, remind people of your vision.
Yeah.
No matter what. Anyone that's creative understands that there's no amount of money that can be given to them to make them not want to or have to create.
Yeah. There's no checkout.
There's no checkout and there's no check to stop you. I showed people that I understand how to make perfect. You know, dark fantasy could be considered to be perfect. You know, I say, I know how to make perfect, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to crack the pavement and make new grounds, you know, sonically and society, culturally. But I'm not here to make easy listening, you know, easy programmable music.
No, you're so off the reservation on this album in the best possible way.
Just place a thought out there that everyone's not thinking.
Very iconic and comfortable to hear. Yeah.
Sometimes. Galileo, they want to chop his head off for saying that the Earth, what do you say? The sun revolved around the Earth,
right?
Vice versa. You know, so when you have modern,
but the sun,
futuristic,
but
I'm not concerned about the specifics, sir.
Right. Do you ever regret anything you say, or is it just like you just look at it like, hey, I put it out there, it's out there, there's no point in regretting it?
I think people focus too much on the past and focus too much on regret. We get too caught up in the past and what everyone's saying and what everyone's tweeting, and sometimes you just have to be fearless enough to break the simulation.
Lucky because I'm from Chicago, and because I'm from Chicago, I don't give a fuck. So I care, but don't give a fuck. That's what it is. Like someone from Chicago is very sincere. They got their heart like that, but they don't give a fuck about what anybody is saying.
What do Twitch points get you? So if you follow people and you get Twitch points, what do the points get you? I should probably understand how Twitch works if I want to stream on this platform. Whatever. Whatever. Oh, here we go. Let's go to after school. Have you ever seen any of these? You can buy stuff like you decide. It can be sound effects and stuff. Oh, okay, cool. I don't think I have anything like... Oh, these are cool. Is that a... Yeah, I'll look into it. I'll set it up. These are cool though. You little goblin.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking.
A little goblin. This is some good stuff for the soul. Some water and some Ram Dass after school. That's how you heal the soul. Illuminati. Why do they have that? Did you buy that? Oh no, it's right there. Illuminati Bob Ross. What up? That's funny.
Extent that I am anything at all, we could consider me as a separate entity, a set of predisposing characteristics, a program that is manifesting by taking a human birth at this time. I have taken a birth into a body, and that body has with it a personality. I've taken a birth into a personality, and that personality is in a body. And I am going through a set of experiences which is called living life. And these experiences have a certain function. These experiences, if used consciously and intentionally by me, are vehicles through which I can awaken to who I am in truth. Let me take you through an example I often use, just another little metaphorical image and an analogy. Imagine, for example, that you have next to your eyes a little control switch. and you look at another human being on channel 1, and what you see when you look at the other human being is a physical body. Man, woman, old, young, fat, thin, pretty, handsome, ugly, interesting. If you're a scientist, you might call them mesomorphs, ectomorphs, and endomorphs. Okay? It's a matrix of individual differences on physical plane. It's the plane of standing on the corner watching all the girls go by. It's that reality. Now let's just say you're looking at another person and you flick your television receiver one channel. Now you look at another person and what you see is their psychology. Oh, you're a manic depressive. Oh, you're a happy person. I wish I was happy like you. People in psychotherapy.
Yeah, go to sleep. You've been up all night. Thanks for hanging out. It was nice to meet you. It was nice to meet my new friend from Portugal. That was fun. I hope I get to see you back here talking in the stream. I'm sure I will in the next couple days. I should be live, so I'll be seeing you again. It was really nice to meet you, and thank you for sharing some of that information and sharing some of the stuff what was going on. I try to stream every evening, so I should be live most evenings, if not like in the middle of the night. But most days later I stream at night, so you can find me on here. You can find me on here. And we will talk. We will talk about what's going on in life. Whatever you're dealing with. We'll work through some stuff, you know? Just a couple friends, one Canadian and one Portuguese. Yeah, probably like around like I try to be live by like 9, probably like 9 p.m. around there. Later in the evenings. I like the idea of going live at night because I can find people such as yourself, the night owls, the people who tend to be awake at night. That kind of crowd. Yeah, set a notification. That'd be cool. Appreciate it. You can get a notification when I hop on. But yeah, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you. That was fun to hang out. Good night. Good night, brother.
I live on this channel usually. They're totally preoccupied with their own depressions, elations,
Thank you.
fears, anxieties, loneliness, hopes, etc. And that's reality. That's the real you. And the physical body is merely the carrier of that. Well, let's flip it again. Flip it again and you look at another person, and if you are so trained to be able to see on this channel, you would say, oh, I know who you are. You're a Libra. I can tell because of the... You're a Sagittarius. On this channel, on channel 3, there's only 12 beings in the universe and various permutations of them. Okay? You are now seeing what could be known as the astral identity of an individual. You're seeing another plane of reality. You're seeing another way of looking at individual differences. These are 3 ways of looking at individual differences, 3 matrices, if you will. But now you flip the dial once more. It starts to get interesting. Now if you flip the dial and look into another person's eyes, you flip the dial inside your own being and look into another person's eyes, what you see is another being looking back at you. Inside an astral configuration, a personality, and a body. You in there? I'm in here. How did you get into that one? And you see what the Christians call soul. You see another soul. You see another being just like you. No different, just like you, just another being. And that you see that all the individual differences are all of the stuff in which this being is encased. Now, you could almost be comfortable with that one, but we unfortunately must flick the dial a few more times. I mean, I must take you the whole journey. You flick the next dial, and what you see when you look into someone else's eyes is you see yourself looking at yourself, looking at yourself. Because on that plane, there is only one of it. It is one awareness that is in a multiplicity of forms. And finally, if you will allow me to flick the dial just once more, if you haven't given up completely yet, you flip the dial once more, and you disappear, and I disappear, and the dial disappears. And we're dealing with what the Buddhists call void, or in the New Testament, before the word, that is, before the vibratory uniqueness, or why God is not able to be spelled in the Hebrew religion. It's unspeakable, unknowable, unseeable, unconceivable, inconceivable. Okay, now, of all of these channels on the television set, who are you? Which one do you want to settle for? You want to be middle-aged? How about that one? I mean, I'm middle-aged. I guess I'm middle-aged. I have a 47-year-old body. It's like I have also a 1974 Dodge van. But you say to me, who are you? And I don't say I'm a Dodge van. Why do I choose to identify with this? Well, if I don't pick body, should I pick personality? I'm somebody on the path. That's a good one to be. I'm a curious person. I'm curious about the future. That's a good one. I'm a responsible person. Well, I'm kind of wild. I'm lazy. I'm working on myself.
It's so funny that I came across this video, and this wasn't planned or anything, but I read from my binder a page that said, "Who am I?" And I read out loud. I read to you guys the page that I wrote that said, "Who am I?" And now later in this video, the question of "Who are you?" comes up, and these descriptions of the type of people you can be come up. So I think that's kind of fascinating. Kind of a synchronicity. You could say that if you believe in that sort of thing, a synchronicity of me reading a page saying, "Who are you? Who am I?" to then it later come up in the video.
These are all different psychological takes of who one is. Each plane, each turn of the dial has a different statement of your identity, and each one is getting into a more and more profound place. Now when we come back to who am I, which channel are you talking about? If we start from the top and go on down into the grosser planes, I am the void who manifests as the one, who becomes the many, who has a unique set of factors to work out through a unique astral, psychological, and physical body. That's what I'm doing on Earth. I have taken a body to do certain work. And when I finish that work, I will drop that body. We are dealing here with the issues of karma and reincarnation. Now, in the West, after the councils of Trent, Constantinople, and Nicaea, anywhere from about 200 to 500 AD, these ideas were roughly thrown out of Christianity because they didn't make the church a workable situation. Because when you had reincarnation and karma, every human being became their own priest. because it was between you and God. And for the church to keep its own control and see its function as keeping people morally living properly, it had to get rid of those concepts. Have I taken birth before? I have no experiential knowledge of that. But from where I'm sitting, undoubtedly thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Will I take birth again? Undoubtedly thousands and thousands and thousands of times. I have to tax your brain with one more.
When you hear that, and you hear the idea of reincarnation and how he explains that kind of soothing idea of coming back thousands and thousands of times, it kind of gives you the sense of lightness and like an easiness, and it kind of allows you to loosen your shoulders and relax a little bit, because it gives this level of depth to say you've been here so many times and you will continue to be here so many times, that the level of significance, the level of importance that you put the weight of the world and all of these problems towards, it isn't as severe. It isn't as drastic as it truly is. It's not that big of a deal as though it may seem, because you've been here before and you will continue to be here again. That's the kind of feel that this type of sentiment gives.
Difficult concept. As long as we were dealing with your body, with your personality, with your astral identity, or with your soul, we were dealing in time. Time passes, things change. The minute we got up into the higher plane than that, in the one, there is no time anymore. Time is relative. Now we're dealing with the place where when you know yourself as that, you just are. You are going nowhere and you are coming from nowhere. The Zen master says your going and coming is nowhere but where you are. Now, if you can start to sense, I mean, you don't have to believe what I'm saying just because it's the way the universe looks to me, but if you could empathize just enough to appreciate how it would be to be looking at the world from this point of view, if you imagine what it's like to see your life as so functional to your awakening, and your death equally so, that the whole business becomes merely a process of growth and awakening and opening and deepening and clearing and shifting channels, and there is no problem about transition. There's no holding on out of fear. It's just opening.
Our journey is about being more deeply involved in life and yet less attached to it. A nice beautiful Ram Dass video to end the stream. So that is going to be the New Year's Eve stream, and what a great way to head into the new year in doing the show and starting off on a good foot of being live as I enter the new year, as we dawn the new calendar year, being live, being active, and putting into motion my dreams and goals and aspirations into real constructive things, real hard life things, and being disciplined in what I want to achieve. So I think that was a great way to wrap up the previous year, wrap up the year of 2025, to go over some of my reflections, to go over some of my goals from the previous year, to analyze and take that with me heading into the new year, and ultimately just a great way to start off the new year. So to anyone watching, Happy New Year. I hope 2025 was filled with gratitude and love and all kinds of good generosity, and filled with loved ones, and filled with great memories, and to many more memories in the year 2026, and to acquiring and attaining all your dreams and aspirations. That is what 2026 will bring. So happy New Year's to everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye now.